going on, ladies and gentlemen? Here we are at the crossroads of life.
Oh no.
Hey.
It is the end of an era, some would say. No one says. But I'm going to say this is the final 404 episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. It is September 29th, 2017. I'm joined by a 404 All-Star and a couple people in the studio owners. Thank you for being here, ladies and gentlemen.
The whole audience here.
All right. And Russ. No. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for everyone for being here. Russ Frushik, as always, current co-host. Jill Schlesinger is in the studio. A round of applause for Jill Schlesinger.
Thank you.
A round of applause for Steve Sphere Guttenberg, ladies and gentlemen. And one of the originals, back with us for the last episode, Mr. Wilson Tang. How are you, sir?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
It's like a great joke, you know, like four Jews and an Asian walk into a studio.
Walk into a podcast. Nobody.
It used to be two Jews and two Asians walking into
Right.
a podcast studio.
This food is all getting sent back.
That's right. I want this dryer, please.
Get us a doggy bag and the manager. So this is going to be a weird one. There's no other way to put it. This is a fast and loose kind of episode. I don't have that much of a plan. It's tough to encapsulate.
Why start now?
I know, right? Why start now?
Well, let's do a little toast.
Do a
First, let's do a toast.
All right.
Thank you to everyone who's been a part of this.
All
I have a
right.
very over-the-top, very long and annoying thank you list at the end that I'll
really?
do. But for
I'll
now,
leave before
you
that's
guys can
over.
all check
Thanks,
out
that's
before
great.
we roll credits.
To the fans as well.
Of course, to the fans.
First to the fans.
The number one.
This isn't bad. I
important
regifted it, but it's
member
pretty
of the
good.
program. Yeah. And what? You regifted?
No, I didn't.
God, we're even getting shafted on the last day.
Never. I went out and bought it
It
this
would be
morning.
authentic.
Beacon Wine on the Upper West
Oh
Side.
yeah, very nice.
Yeah, that's right.
So, I just wanted to kind of run through some stuff. I want to talk to Wilson first because Wilson, we haven't seen you in so long.
Was it like a Stranger Things thing where you were in the Upside Down for a while and you managed to emerge? Is that where you've been?
Is that where you've been?
I've been
Who
doing
rescued you?
dances like in the OA, like
Yes.
just like trying to warp myself back here.
Okay,
like,
you made it.
Yeah. no.
Well done.
So what have you been up to? What are you currently doing? How many kids do you have?
0 kids. Why do you always
Wait a
have to go
second.
to
Did
the
you get
kids?
married?
I got married.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Where's your
So-
ring? I didn't see no wedding ring on
No,
there.
nothing. It's nothing I
He took
do.
it off here just,
Yeah,
because
just
that's
in
what he
case.
does.
You can see what could
I was
happen.
gonna see Jill.
Yeah, barking up the wrong
wanna-
tree.
You want to leave the door open? I get it.
But yeah, no, I have a very. It's weird because I got out because I wanted to do something new.
Yeah.
Like just we it was so much fun doing the 404, and I just wanted to do something new with my life. And what was super ironic about it was like I bounced from a couple of agencies and I landed at this company called Freeman, and lo and behold, we produce all the shows that you guys are already at. So
So like CES.
Yeah, Comic-Con,
Just when you get out, they
South
come
by.
grab you back in.
Yeah. But it's been a lot of fun. I lead a digital studio. So what we do is we have a bunch of artists, a bunch of producers, and developers, and we come up with really cool ways to use technology. So augmented reality, virtual reality,
I've
voice
heard of that.
recognition, all that stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude.
That's very cool.
very
So it's
fitting,
nice.
I would say.
Yeah.
How's
it's kinda
married
nice.
life? I want more. I want more detail.
Yeah, Jill's like, screw what you
Yeah,
do. Tell
right.
me about what it's
So,
like being
how
married.
is it?
Great.
Good answer. She's watching.
Yeah. I'm probably gonna get a couple calls after this, but no, life's great. Diana is she's a casting producer or director at A&E Networks, and so I still have part of the family in the media business, but it's nice to kind of get away from the grind. Yeah.
Is this a grind?
No,
No,
this is, I
this
wouldn't
is
call
like-
this a grind.
No.
So Wilson, tell me about like your kind of like first memories and all that junk and what I don't want to put you on a spot and make you like
No.
pour out
Cry.
your
Cry.
feelings, but
Well, I
what
mean,
comes to you?
to be frank, I never in my wildest imagination thought that the show was going to do 10 years. Because it was always like, well.
You're telling me.
Well, when we first started, it was like, it was kind of subterfuge. Like we were just like, let's just put a couple mics in that really hot closet and just record a couple of shows.
You think we could melt a computer in there?
And then we started piling in way too much equipment, and I think
daily.
Yeah, it was daily, and I think the most shocking thing was I remember one day somebody finally pulled some numbers for us, and they're like, "Yeah, 80,000 people are listening to you," and I was like, "Wait, what?" Because we were honestly, and hopefully I can say this, we were just dicking around.
There's a lot of dicking.
Right.
Joey said Richarding. There was
Richarding. We were
around.
Richarding
Yeah,
around.
a lot of that. Yeah, no, for sure. Like, it was definitely a rad and kind of like weird ride. And I mean, 10 years ago, like obviously podcasting was predates that, but I don't think it was something that like we thought had legs at all. We were like, oh, let's get away doing this for 3 months.
Who gets credit for the name?
Oh, yeah, what a great. Oh, yeah.
I think it might have been me, but I don't really enjoy taking credit for that.
Well, I remember like the original name was the Dude Cast.
Yeah.
Oh, you know, I know
I've seen so many people just groan.
people
You're
have
right.
complained
'Cause
about the name, but like that
That's
is
compared
the
to
worst
that,
podcast name I've ever heard.
Well, you know what though? In 2007, it was still bad.
Yeah.
But in 2007, like you probably could have gotten away with that for like 9 months.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
I
that's
know.
bold.
Hey man, we were just children. We were
Yeah.
just children back
And I
then.
remember when we started doing it and it started getting popular, and then finally, like the powers that be upstairs like recognized it, and they were like, coming up to us and they said, you picked the worst possible SEO name
Yeah.
It's
on
true.
the planet.
Right, and we're like, thank you. We know that. We know that. But
Yeah.
So what else from the beginning? And or you know, is that really?
And how did
is
you
that
feel about
really-
the transition from just audio only to video? Because you were there through that part, right?
Yeah, that was when we started having to wear makeup, and that was weird.
You loved that.
Yeah, he did.
Let's be honest.
Sitting
You had
in
your
that
own little
chair.
Well,
compact.
you just talked about having your hair get done every day for Instagram.
What's also funny, like those cameras, they were like 420p. Like there's no way
yeah,
it mattered if you
yeah.
were wearing
Yeah.
makeup
Well,
or
no,
not.
well, you're right. So that was the thing. First, we added cameras into that shitty podcast
Yeah.
studio.
I love
And
that
then-
little studio.
Yeah, that makes one of us. And then we went into the first version of the studio we're in right now, which was like a night and day kind of thing,
Yeah.
where we just realized like, oh, that's what we look like. Yeah, that's not very
A little
good.
shiny.
That's
Yeah.
what's that about? So yeah.
No, yeah, and I remember every day, like we would come and do the show. We were in that closet with like no air, and the lights would be on, and it was just a struggle, just like to breathe in that room.
Yeah, one day it would be like 85
Right,
degrees.
that I
next
do
day it'd be 20.
remember. Because I would
And we're
go in and do like
"What's-"
radio hits in between
Yeah.
and like mess up your settings. And it would
That's
be like
right, I forget
boiling
that
hot
we,
in there.
Like
Oh, God.
I forget that.
Yeah,
that
I
you
was
were-
here.
You were here.
Because we
Yeah.
kept like a supercomputer underneath the desk, pretty
Yeah.
much, right?
It had like a nuclear accelerator on it.
That explains a lot.
That does explain a lot. So Steve and Jill, you guys were among the first guests that we ever had on the program. What are your first memories of that? If you want to share that with our listeners.
First memory.
Yeah, I know you guys combined have done probably 200 episodes between the two of you.
Felt like it.
Yeah. What
Steve, how did you even like get like? Because obviously, like you were working in the same sphere, but like, so to speak.
Hey.
Yeah, fair.
But like,
Fair.
how did you guys approach one another?
I think Jeff just asked me to
Just came up to
come
you.
by.
Yeah, but I don't remember. I think
What were
we-
you doing at the time?
You mean that second?
No, I mean, what were you doing work-wise at that time when you?
I was
when
on
you
with John.
You know, it's
and I
funny
got a
because
call.
I have it's funny to say it now, I have a blog.
Yeah.
And my blog started slightly before the 404.
Uh-huh.
So I was working really hard on getting that
the
going.
audiophiliac, right?
Yeah, the audiophiliac. So then, so I was here a lot and I was doing more stuff, so that's why. But,
And did you know
we
when you
used
were-
to go out to lunch a lot in those
Right, we
days.
go out to lunch, and I feel like what was happening was like I was maybe editing some of your like speaker
Yeah, I think
reviews
you were.
and
I
stuff.
think you were,
And
yeah.
I would just be like, "This guy's out of his mind." Like, what is
And it
he
wasn't
doing?
even Sphere yet.
No. You hadn't
Yeah,
evolved
I haven't
to that
evolved
just
at that,
yet.
right,
And I just remember, we'd talk at lunch and be like, "I think you make sense on here. Let's do that."
I just couldn't believe the energy and the chemistry of it all.
Well, that's when we
Because
had
remember my
energy.
thing was that I would always bring in a list of things to talk about because I didn't want to have nothing to
Well,
say.
that was like
Yeah.
the best part of the show.
But the
like-
thing is that you guys, I always thought didn't have any preparation, and yet it just happened anyway.
Right. No,
That
we
was
did.
the
We
amazing-
used to prepare for the show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So
there was
see,
a, there was a,
rundown.
there was a
Illusions
good
are
year and a half
broken.
stretch
Yeah.
where we had a rundown.
Oh, yeah?
What about you, Jill?
I think that Wilson asked me a financial question once because my office was on the same row as you guys
Yep.
when CBS Interactive launched Money Watch.
Right.
And I was brought in to help be part of that launch team. And Wilson, as always, the financially curious Wilson, would ask me some financial questions. And then I think you said to me, you know what? It would be, if I have these questions, maybe our listeners do. Why don't you come in and be on the show?
And it was definitely, it was like in the midst of the Great Recession.
Yes, it was.
So all
right.
of us were essentially, like, we had you on the show, but all of us were essentially trying to figure out, okay, if the world falls apart, like, how much money do we need to be stashed away?
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. It was so I think I started working in 2009. So it was soon after I started here.
Right.
And then I went on the show one time and I made a joke that I said, "Oh my God, I'm so old I could be your mother." And you said, "Not really my mother, more like my cool aunt."
Right, like my mom's younger sister.
Right? Like
Much younger sister.
At which point, Jeff started the hashtag Aunt Jill.
Right.
And which has stuck a little bit.
It has.
And then I just, I fell in love with every iteration, all the hosts, all the topics, all the fun questions we would field. And I always, I'm always here for you, Jeff.
I
And
know
Russ,
that. Yeah.
And Wilson, even though you never talk to me. And for anyone out there, it's like a gift to be able to talk in this way
It's very
with
helpful.
with you guys and be able to talk about things you care about, but mostly it's just an absolute best experience. So much fun to be here.
That means a lot. Thank you very much. What did you be honest though? What did you think of us in the very beginning? Where you're like,
I
I
got off and I got off the air the first time and
Or you
I
just
walked.
got off.
Well, let's not go there.
Wait, but by the way,
Thanks for going there fast.
by the way, this is the first time you guys have ever
Right.
met
It's
in
Yeah,
so
person.
weird.
absolutely.
Amazing.
Yeah. on
And
the
there's,
last
there's almost like a odd camaraderie.
Oh,
That's like
totally.
fantastic.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I
Instant.
didn't
We're going to
realize.
start our own podcast.
I know.
Exactly.
Seriously, I didn't realize what
You
kind
know how
of
that happens.
Aunt Jill and
strange,
Sphere.
Exactly.
what kind of strange
I want
paradox
to be
that
in the
might have
sphere.
created.
So I got off the air, and Jack Otter walked into my office, and he was like, "Well, how was that?" I'm like, "You know what? It was absolutely awesome. I loved it. In fact, it totally reminded me of like old school talk radio.
Yeah.
And when I was an investment advisor a million years ago, I used to go on these talk shows, and there's just tons of time to fill, and it's relaxed, and you could really get into a topic, and personalities come out, and it was obvious. I actually also went home and I said to Jackie, Don't take offense. I'm like, these kids are incredibly talented. And I said kids because you guys are so
we
young.
were.
Yeah.
But I just said, these kids are incredibly talented.
that's very nice.
And so she always knew that she calls you the 404 boys.
Oh.
And forever boys we will be.
Indeed.
Little boys.
Exactly.
That's very cool. And Russ,
Yeah.
you yourself were one of the very first guests. I went back and I looked, and you were, I think, in the 60s. One of the
Okay.
episodes
So
in
pretty
the
early.
60s, very
Sure.
early on.
Yeah.
We had just met. Actually, I think it was Dan Ackerman
Dan
who was
Na-
in the studio, introduced
Yep.
us. Thank you for doing that, Dan.
It was some sort of party for Dan Ackerman.
It was a Dan Ackerman
It was a
party.
Tetris party.
He was there organizing
Las
everyone to
Vegas.
fit inside.
Exactly.
Usually going in.
I know.
right away. And I remember, like pitching the idea to you to come on.
Yeah.
And you kind of like had no idea what it was.
Yeah, well, we had just met.
Right.
And you were like, hey, you should come on this show. And I was like, yeah, okay, sure.
I could see it in your face.
Well,
You're
I
just like,
didn't-
I don't want to do this.
Well, because I didn't understand that it was already a developed thing.
Well, it
it
wasn't
sounded
that
like
many.
it was still 60 episodes.
Sure.
Pretty far in. And I remember coming on, and Randall was still on the show, and it really went great at the first time. And then the second time I showed up, and Jeff didn't show up for about an hour and a half.
Oh, right.
What?
Yeah.
What'd you do?
Okay. I remember that now.
What
I
happened?
felt really
What's the
bad.
story?
Do you
'Cause
remember?
I don't even remember this. There were a lot of moments we covered up during the show because we were still trying to figure out exactly how
So
to be professional at actually.
professional is just not a part of our repertoire.
Yeah, it was one
No.
of those things where it's like, I don't think Jeff knew to put this on the calendar.
Right.
Yeah,
So I obviously, we were very nascent in the show's career, and I think what had happened was I was very bad, and probably still am bad at planning things.
You're pretty
sometimes.
good.
Oh, thanks.
Generally.
That's nice of you to lie
By
on the last show.
and
And I think I was like at a meeting with like seeing a game or something, and I just remember being like, "Oh, Russ will understand. Russ will understand."
Oh my God.
I was bad.
funny.
Don't make that
It was-
face
I
at me,
feel
Jill.
bad. So
funny.
what happened? So
I just hung out in that
For like maybe
hot
2
studio
hours.
for like 2 hours. No,
It was maybe 90 minutes. It was
a long
It was
amount of
bad.
time.
It was bad.
And
Wasn't
but-
there an episode where like it was like you and Justin, who like famously didn't play any video games?
Yeah.
Had like nothing to talk
He had,
about.
yeah, that's
Well,
one of the
I like
funniest
it when
things
he
about
would pipe in because it would be some like weird, like the one game he played the last.
He'd
10
be like,
years.
"That's Virtual Boy, right?"
Yeah.
Or something like that. And we're like, "Yeah, dude, that's Virtual Boy."
It's funny because I remember that, but it should say something that the fact that I continued coming back for many, many times after
Right.
that.
Poor judgment on your behalf.
It really was. I just did not think that through. But I really honestly did always have a great time when I was on. There was never like a bummer show that I did. And even when it required assisting your lack of presence, I was more than happy to come and do the show with you guys because it really was a blast.
Yeah,
So-
right on. I appreciate it.
Oh yeah,
That's
we do.
awesome.
One other thing is that early on, of course, I love the fact that Justin could get me printers.
Oh, right. Okay. The
Pretty
shadier
sure
side
that was
of
like
the
half
show.
the reason why you came on the show because you'd spend half the time talking about what driver to install.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
you're
I
getting
was
tech
like, what do
support.
I need to
Hey,
do?
You're just using us for tech
In
support.
fact, that was so true.
It's
it was
true.
Like, we had a great trade. Financial advice for tech support. It was a
like,
great
right.
trade.
Put
Simpatico.
this in your
Perfect.
401k, and then he would be like, buy this printer ink.
It was just
Exactly.
trading services.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah,
what it was.
it was
Bartering.
just, it was barter.
It was the most professional relationship I had ever had. Right? So, yeah, I mean, I guess, the thing for me and the thing when we announced that we were ending, and, this has been something that we kind of want to do for a while. I started getting a lot of, people on Twitter emailing the show asking, hey, how can I listen to everything? that you
Oh,
ever
where's
did?
the library?
The box
Right,
set.
the box set, as Steve
How are we
puts
going to
it.
monetize that?
Right. Well,
Let's
no,
hear.
we don't have a way just yet.
Darn it.
So I have a couple things. There on our subreddit, someone at one point at around episode 1200. Don't worry, what are you shaking?
You know,
your head
because
for?
that whole Reddit thing, I don't do it, but continue.
It's a
All right.
website.
I
Don't
know.
worry.
You
Don't
can
worry.
handle it.
It's not important, Jill. Somebody at one point wrote a script that essentially sniffed out every MP3 that
Genius.
we ever uploaded.
How consistent is that naming structure?
It's pretty consistent.
So that's good. That's
I think
Yeah.
say for like maybe 100 or so episodes
So
out
they're
of
not all on
1,700.
the site?
So they are. They're all on the internet. But what I kind of, and this is sort of like an open call for a little bit of help, because for posterity, for this show to kind of live on and be archived, we need a little bit of wrangling to go on. We need a little bit of, organization and curation. And I'm definitely willing to, do my part and help out. But if anyone has a kind of idea as to how we can maybe automate the process a little bit, I reached out to the person who originally wrote the script that sniffed out all the MP3 files, but there's got to be a way to do it. There's got
Just
to
to
be
like auto download them all.
to
you
auto
mean?
download, or to like have an
Put 'em
idea
in an
or an
RSS.
idea of how to do it better and more
Yeah.
efficiently. I'm sure we can make like a torrent of it somewhere and
Yeah.
just have it and good to go. Jill, how do we do it?
You know what? I'll tell you what I would do. Let me tell you exactly what I would do.
Joey, do you have an idea? You know,
I would talk to a guy at
Yeah.
CNET and find out whether you could do it.
Yeah.
Right.
And then I'm sure someone knows how to do it.
We should have somebody on the internet, right? Someone on CNET.
You should
Someone
just
who
maybe
was a tech
listening to this
expert.
fabulous podcast.
Do
We'll
we
know.
do we have a sense of like if you strung them all together, how long it would be?
That's
1,000
pretty
hours?
easy. That's pretty easy math.
What's what number show is this?
The final one? This one is 1715.
17:15,
Yeah.
and they're mostly
about
between say a half
hour.
to a half
I'd say
hour
like
to
the
an hour.
first 1,000 were an hour.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and then we kind of went like, Actually, no, that's wrong. We were doing like a half hour,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But then there were some
early
that
ones
were an
half
hour.
Definitely, I was just
That's the
looking at
thing.
them
Like
this
we
morning.
never really stuck to any kind of time.
Because you said,
restraint.
we gotta go do this other thing.
Right.
That's
Oh,
what
I
gotta
it
upload
ends,
this.
Right. It would depend on like what we had going on that
Right,
day.
right.
Joey, you're here. Grab that mic. I want to talk to you for a second because you came on the show a bunch. Tell us. Are you getting him in the mic there, Brian?
Hello.
What?
I do want to mention Joey is literally sitting next to 3 Super Nintendo classics.
They have their own seat on the couch here.
Yeah.
Ackerman and Katz had to sit over there.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but do you have any like outstanding memories of being on the show?
I actually have a couple, and a lot of them seem to stem from Justin, who I wish was here today.
Yeah.
One, and it stands out really vividly, especially when you guys were talking about you being MIA for a show, there was a time Justin tried to do a show by himself.
Good. I'm so glad you brought that up.
He tried to do it by himself.
Oh, that hurts.
And
It was like 20 minutes of dead air for one.
it was crickets. I think like Julie was like, "Oh my God, he's bombing. We gotta help him." And then we jumped into the podcast studio or something like that, or Julie jumped into it. Another one was how he'd always bait me. I think San Francisco hates me because Just would always plug in some sex-related topic because he knows it would just send my radar. It would just send me over the top, and that's probably why I haven't been on the show since. So my apologies to SF, but I allowed Justin to bait me.
That reminds me. I think the scariest moment we had was it was a CES. I think we were waiting for Eliza Dushku, and I think it was Wayne Brady.
Okay.
And they were supposed to come in at like a very specific time, and unsurprisingly they were late.
Yeah.
And so we had prepared a show like pre their arrival that was supposed to last 45 minutes. And I remember Chris Parker in the background being like stretched.
Yeah. Doing like the taffy, like.
And we're like, how long?
Yeah.
Like,
And he starts throwing up huge numbers, like 35 minutes. And I'm just like, what? 35
meanwhile, there's like
minutes?
100 people in the audience.
Just
So
to
I was
see Eliza
like,
Dushku, yeah.
Yeah, just to see Eliza Dushku. And we're sitting there and we're like, oh my God. So Jeff, how's the wife?
Yeah, be like, hey, you want to count to 1,000 right now?
Let's look at the dictionary.
Right.
Let's see let's throw
start
the
with A.
A's.
Let's see if we can really make a dent in this thing by the time she gets here. Oh man, I'm glad you brought up CS. CS was always like a wacky.
Yeah, the Danny DeVito.
Yeah,
Totally, yeah.
so I was going to ask you, what was your favorite star interview? Was it Danny DeVito?
The Danny DeVito thing was like a whirlwind, sort of like this is crazy because we didn't know we were getting him until like 24 hours before. We only had found out he was going to be in Las Vegas maybe 2 days prior. And I remember I spent the entire day working with his like management to make sure he would come by. And of course he was like 95 minutes late also. But that's fine. It's Danny DeVito. He's earned the right to be that late. But yeah, that was a lot of fun, obviously. I remember that was the one dude, and I've never really talked about this a lot, but that was the one dude that I was just like, oh, I can't handle this. Like, I like him too much. Like,
Oh, yeah.
You were
you're
starstruck.
I was, like, and I had met my fair share of celebrities, and I always really was like very level-headed. But the second he walked in, I just started sweating. You remember, you were there.
Yeah,
fucking lost
And it must be, he's just so identifiable, right?
Oh
like
my
the
God!
second
Like,
he's in the
and not
room.
only that, like
it's-
he's got a whole entourage,
Yeah.
Oh,
and
yeah.
like everyone's just like, yeah, it is Danny DeVito we're walking around with.
Well,
And I
speaking
just
of-
remember, and the best was Justin kept telling me, he's like, dude, you're sweating. Why are you sweating so much? I'm like, I don't know. It's Danny DeVito. And he reminds me a lot of my father. So like, he's a Jersey. So we like started talking, and I'm just like, oh man, it really is. You are just like my dad. This is so weird. And he's like, I remind you of your dad. He's like, good, clean this shit up here. And I'm like, no, don't do that. That's weird. And I wasn't getting dizzy, but I was like freaking out. So this is crazy. So we get up there, and I'm already like blur. I've lost my mind, just freaking out that I'm about to interview Danny DeVito. And we get on stage, and Justin's like cool as a cucumber. This was after you weren't there. Were you there?
I don't
I don't remember.
think I was in this one. Yeah.
Yeah. So Justin is up there, and Danny DeVito is behind the backstage, and Justin and I are talking. I'm introducing, and I'm taking way too long to do it. I should just be like, get him out, get him out. Danny DeVito is yelling at me, saying, "Why don't you put a new shirt on, Jeff? The one you're wearing's all wet." And I'm just like, oh shit! I got Danny DeVito roasting me, and I'm just like, I don't know what to do right now. I couldn't handle it, and yeah.
So if you listen to it now, have you listened to it since?
I've never listened to it.
Really?
I listened to it maybe like right after, just to make sure it sounded clean and it made sense, like, see if we had to edit it or anything. But I lost it. That was the one dude where I was just like, nope, that's it. That's where I draw the line. Can't do that anymore.
I thought you were close that way with Tony Hawk.
No, I think when like those guys, like the action sports guys, like Tony Hawk and Shaun White, like those dudes are just laid back, California guys who just want to like chill out.
But their entourage definitely wasn't.
Yeah, they were a little.
They were like, don't call them the Flying.
Yeah, oh, that's right. There are all these rules. Everyone's got rules.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I know, that's so weird though.
Yeah, I get it.
You didn't want like a Megyn Kelly moment, right? Like where.
Yeah. Totally. But yeah, we obviously haven't had. Like we were at one point, we were sort of like part of like the junket tour.
Mm-hmm.
We would have people come in, and we developed good relationships with entertainment PR, and they would be like, "Oh, you should totally have this guy and this guy." Who was your favorite celebrity guest that we had? The first one I remember was Jonathan Colton.
Yes,
he kind of like,
and he wrote a lot of like jingles for us that like we used for years.
Definitely.
Yeah, the music. You got to talk about the intro.
Some of it was stock stuff, but Ariel Nunez, who produced the show for many years, was responsible for some of the.
You remember what happened the first time I came in and heard that music? I totally insulted him.
Did you really?
You don't remember? Okay, so I come on and I'm like, "What's with this music?" Like in my typical Aunt Jill way.
Must have been like,
and
Jill,
you're like,
Ariel.
you literally were like, giving me the head.
I'm like, and Jill's like, "Are you okay?
Is your neck okay? What's wrong?" I'm like, "No, I love it. I totally love it."
Covered.
Oh God.
Well covered.
Yeah.
Do you who? Can you think of any other celebrity that really stood out for you? For me, like having Mark Maron a couple times was a big deal.
I remember Michael Showalter, Wayne Brady, and honestly,
Wayne Brady came back to New York too.
Really?
We had him at CS, and he was in New York too once.
Nice. Yeah, I remember him talking about how we could buy illicit drugs from the cabbies in CES.
Right. He's like, you guys need no.
And actually, I got to go back to Eliza Dushku. That memory was just burned in my head.
That's understandable. She was a very pleasant guest to have, for sure.
All right.
Yeah. I'm trying to think.
I didn't know you interviewed Mark Maron.
Yeah, twice.
So, and when was that?
The last time we had him was maybe 2014.
And he behaved?
The first time he gave me a lot of shit.
Like,
and
how
he was
come?
just like, what am I doing here?
Yeah,
really?
usual Mark Maron.
Yeah, he was
stuff,
just Mark Maron being Mark Maron. And then the second time, he obviously remembered me, and I was like, oh, we talked a lot about music, which he was super into before the show, and he was definitely more well behaved. I think is
were
the way to
you
put it.
surprised that he has? Are you surprised that he has become as big as he has become?
Am I surprised? I think he's surprised.
No, I'm asking you.
No,
did you sense like, wow, this dude's on the precipice of breaking through? I mean,
he had already
interviewed.
broken
Yeah, 14. WTF
He
has been around
hadn't
for a
interviewed the president.
No,
So-
no, but still, he had definitely made his way. I think and I used to listen to his show all the time, and definitely at the time when he was on, and I would ask him like, oh, did you expect this sort of pop? And he's very much aware that like he kind of struck at the right time when podcasting became this invaluable medium.
But it's
But
like
he was the right guy to
Oh,
do
he-
it.
oh,
To bring
for
it
sure,
up. For
for
all the
sure.
stuff they did before. It's not
Yeah,
like he just
he
on
was
the podcast.
well conditioned
Right.
and
He was the right
refined
guy.
for that gig. Totally. One of my favorite guests we ever had was Reggie Watts. That was amazing.
wow.
Yeah, Reggie Watts did a whole he brought like all these bizarre instruments, or we had found a really bizarre like micro piano that he
amazing.
started freestyling on, and that was
cool.
That was a
Yeah,
trip
that's
for
great.
sure, and that was before the whole James Corden thing too.
what about interviewing your boss, like when Lanzone came on?
Oh yeah, you were nervous about that one.
I'd be nervous.
No, that was you.
I was
That
nervous.
was
I think
that's
that's
when Wilson sweat.
I think that's nerve-wracking to
Yeah.
have like the boss of the whole, business unit. That would be very freaky.
Yeah. I mean, I think like I don't know. I gotta give it to Wilson. Like Wilson put that together. Do you remember? Like that was I didn't set that up.
I mean, I think he had just become CBSI president for like 2 months or something like that, and we're just like, yeah, why don't you come on the show? And then I was like, wait a minute, we really should have thought this one out before.
Well, I just remember being like, "Oh, you're gonna talk to him, right? Because I don't know what the hell to talk to him." I remember like
It's not like
I
having
think you
Larkin
were-
on the air,
you
which
were,
would be
like,
like,
nudging him.
whatever.
I was like, "You have to do the talking because I am not jeopardizing anything." With that.
Like,
I'm like,
I am married already, and I want to keep my
I was
job.
like, I like the fact that we're able to dick around an hour a day and not have to do anything else. You better not screw this up for us. And that was Wilson's sweat moment. I remember
yeah.
for sure. He was
I remember
sweating that.
bringing in the Perrier.
Yeah, you gave him like real fancy shit. You were like,
You brought like a
he's like,
game.
here's how I impress the CEO. I'm gonna bring.
a lazy
I'm
boy.
gonna Perrier.
You got like a craft services person to like cover it.
You like
Do
put
you-
him in a green room. You're like, here, this is your green room.
Yeah, this is the Jim Lanzone green room. In fact, you paid for it. So it's fantastic. It came out of your
He
budget.
printed out a title for the door.
That's awesome. You remember I came on the show right after I had been on the air with Katie Couric, and I
Yeah.
talked
Oh,
about
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And Justin made like that funny like heart thing because I said I was in love with Katie Couric.
Right,
Oh,
and you did. You
And
did say you
I
loved
love
her.
her.
Still to this day.
Yeah.
Of course.
I mean, we remember her when.
When she was a kid.
But it's funny, like when you talk about like getting really nervous, sometimes random people make me nervous. So
Yeah,
people who
it's
are
always
like,
surprising,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what I think is always interesting, that someone walks in the studio, or that like someone walks in the studio and there's instant rapport, and then you're not like, you're nervous in the moment, and then like, oh, I feel great. Like I think it's so awesome that Danny DeVito's like, Jeff, I'm like your father. Clean this room up. I mean,
It
like,
could not have gone any worse. It could
I
not have gone
mean,
any
but you did a great job.
Thank
managed.
you.
You did.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So yeah, there's a lot of like stuff I want to do. I want to read some emails from listeners. Obviously, being a very important part of the show, we'll get to that. I'm serious about the posterity thing. Help us out if anyone has any ideas.
Oh, I
Steve,
just wanna
I'm
ask a
turning to you.
question, though.
Yeah, I want to hear because
So
I know
when
you always prepare for this.
Yeah, well, I was
You- or over-
You've had that
There is a sheet.
Yeah, I saw a
Steve does
sheet.
have
a-
I saw a sheet of scroll.
Yeah, this is off the sheet.
Okay.
So when you had those get-togethers with your fans,
Oh,
like you
shit,
would make
okay.
public appearances as the three of you,
Yeah.
what was that like to actually meet the people who are out there listening?
It felt. This is such a funny. Hold your thought. I'm going to answer.
Okay.
This is so funny. Everyone's coming by and showing us that they bought a Super NES Classic. Jeremy Toman is now walking in the studio with his. Congratulations, Jeremy!
Yes, thank
You are the 33rd person. This is the best day ever.
You got a gyro and a device.
That's true.
Mario.
Does it come with games, or is
It
it?
does
it's all
come with
built
games.
in.
Yeah, it's all
Alright.
built in. So back to your question, Steve. The meetups. We had what, 3 or 4 meetups.
We had 3 or 4 meetups, and they were actually surprisingly well produced.
So yes,
Yeah.
and well attended. And I will say this: it was way more of a turnout than I ever in a million years would have imagined. Because we never understood our audience early on in terms of size and reach. And when we said, "Oh, let's invite people in New York," which is, it's a huge city, but like, how many listeners could we have in New York? And we would. I remember there was one event, the Delancey one, where we had to turn people away.
Oh yeah, I know, at the CNET pop-up store, right?
There was
Yeah.
that was the one on Mulberry.
Yeah.
And so we did. There's a few I
There's
forgot
been a
about.
couple of them.
Regardless, it was always very
to meet the people who are out there
satisfying. Yeah.
listening is
Well,
must
and
be-
that was the most surprising part. So, like, doing podcasts, you expect your audience to be worldwide,
Right.
and then we're like, oh, like it'll be nice if we get like a dozen or 2 people, and then like 100 people would show up.
Yeah.
And some of them would tell us like, yeah, we drove up from like Florida or Philadelphia to come and see
Yeah.
you guys. You're like, we are not that good.
Yeah, I remember this one guy. I'll never forget. His name was Marcus. He and his wife drove from Toronto.
Oh my gosh.
And I was just like, That is just
Awesome.
unbelievable, man. And I felt like I needed to just spend the entire time with him because I was just like, you earned it. Like, I am forever grateful.
Truth be told, he was a drug mule. So like,
He did have
He was
30
passing
kilos of
by,
heroin with
but-
him. Right.
You know, actually, I think that would probably be like the most meaningful part because, you know, for the most part, the show clearly hasn't changed that much. We weren't really all that prepared.
Yeah.
We just walked in a room, talked about anything for about an hour and a half.
Yeah.
But the messages that we would get from people were always like, I feel like you guys are my friends because this is exactly
And
the
that,
stuff
yeah,
that we
and
were
that
talking
meant
about.
so much for
Yeah.
sure to hear that little bit of.
Any children named Jeff out there?
No, but I remember we used to go to Comic-Con. Remember we used to go to Comic-Con, and we would have events. I remember there was one time at that restaurant, Lou and Mickey's. Remember that restaurant? What was his name? Oh, he's gonna hear this. He's gonna be so mad. It was like a Bandoy. What? He brought his daughter,
Yes.
and his daughter was wearing a 404 T-shirt because we like made like a makeshift DIY T-shirt with the stickers. That was like a really touching kind of thing. Just seeing like people, you know, you just meet people and you meet their families, and they're like, "Oh, this show is such a big part of my life."
I
and
still have like a box of stickers and a couple of posters that fans made. Like not like we didn't push them. It'd just be like one day we'd be sitting there and we'd get mail from somebody unknown addressed to the 404, and we're like, it's either anthrax or it's something.
Sure.
Yeah.
right. We'd shake it.
I
We'd
still
shake.
have
We'd let
that-
Justin sniff it first and be like, "Is this safe to open?"
Who the guy like made a plaque?
Yes.
It's like-
Oh,
so
yeah.
I have one of those.
We have
with
those.
like Dear Aunt Jill on it, and
The-
it's in my office.
We've got the 404 Rebel Alliance helmet in the back there.
Oh, nice.
Also behind Wilson's head there. Right, the wood plaques. There's the 2 SNES box arts that someone did for us a while ago. Just really awesome stuff.
Oh, I have a
from our
fan
fans.
question.
Yeah, what's up?
So did
You over there in the tie-dye.
did Justin really eat all that crap? He was always
Yes.
eating like weird sandwiches and stuffing his face.
You know, so like that's the part. Like everybody, wonders like what is the
How can he be
on-air
that skinny?
personality versus like what is the actual
Right,
personality?
right.
No, Justin used to eat that kind of shitty food every single
All the
day.
time.
Like,
Remember when I
We'd
had to
always
put him on
wonder, like,
austerity? I'm like, you have to stop going out for lunch.
You need to be you grounded him. You totally grounded him for
I'm
lunch.
like, you're not going out for lunch
This is
anymore.
it. This is
This
Justin. Stop
Right.
it.
Stop.
Stop
You
it.
gotta bring
Stop
your
going
lunch.
to Subway, Justin.
Bring your lunch. Bring your lunch.
Oh,
him
man.
and the Fry Daddy. I remember that.
Yeah, that guy never gained a pound.
Unbelievable.
7,000 calories a day. Not an inch of fat on the guy.
Don't know anything about it.
What, Justin?
No, me.
Yeah, you don't know anything about not gaining weight, don't you?
No.
Totally foreign.
All right. I think we can shift into like some interaction stuff. I wanted to read some stuff, but let's first go to some voicemails. Let's play a few voicemails from people who have taken the time. We got a bunch. I appreciate it so much that people took the time to send us a message. I'm just gonna play. I highlighted about 4 here. Oh, Mark Lasea, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey,
Showing
Mark.
Come on in, Mark.
Come on.
Take the chance to say hello to everybody.
say-
How are you, Mark?
Yeah.
What's going on?
How's it going?
Good. Straight. Oh,
There's a wireless mic over there if you want to talk
Yeah, you
for a
can-
second there before we play these voicemails. Mark.
That's the one I have.
Oh, wow.
That's the one I
Oh,
have.
you have that?
Yeah, I have that one.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it's the
I feel
new
terrible,
one, right?
but I'm not 100%
Yeah,
sure.
that's the
I
current
want to say
I like that one.
Very
a gentleman
cool.
named Joe and Connor, but that could be wrong, and I'm sorry.
I love
But it's
that.
been many years, so thank you. So, Mark,
yeah.
tell us why this was the best part of your time here at CNET.
Short-lived, but
In 3 words. In 3 words.
it was so great. He did it for 3
I
episodes.
hate to put you on the spot, but you know, in the early days, you were on a lot.
I just always remember being super unprepared and like not knowing the news, and you guys always being like, "It's okay, you're pretty." It's fine."
Nice.
taking the chance to compliment himself. Son of a
Exactly.
bitch. No,
And then I
Priorities.
remember I was filling in for Natalie on a show one time, and like right in the middle of the show, Justin pulls up a freeze frame of me on camera, and I guess like my nips were popped out, and he photoshopped 2 giant red arrows pointing to my nips, and you guys were like, "What do you think of that?" And I was like, "I don't know, I don't like that."
I don't remember that. That's
And then
You've made Ben Fox Rubin very uncomfortable, is what you've done there.
But there was a lot of that, and then I remember you put me on the spot at the end of one show, and you were like, "So Mark, tell us a story."
The way I'm doing it right now?
Yeah. And I don't remember what I talked about, but I think it was like the weekend before I was in Fire Island, and I talked to someone that was on a cruise with Chaz Bono, and I guess like from what he said, she's a big gamer, and that was like my story.
See, you
And I
came
was like,
through.
okay, you did well.
You
That
came
managed.
through when we needed you most, just like you always never did. No, I'm kidding.
I guess.
Thanks for being a part of this thing, and thanks to Ben
My
Fox
pleasure.
Rubin
Yeah,
as well,
thanks,
who's
Ben.
in the studio here. Thanks, Ben, for being
Hello.
a part, helping us out in the last few months of the show. We really appreciate it,
Yeah.
buddy.
Hi.
Hi.
That's all you have
Don't
to
no
say.
pressure. You don't have to say that. We're just saying.
I'm also completely unprepared. It's just been fun to listen to you guys. This is like, I was coming on later on, you know, like this thing has been going on for like 10 years, and this is pretty amazing to like, I mean, like, I don't think we've ever
Yeah,
met.
Ben and
You know,
Wilson.
so like
yeah.
some of these stories are pretty incredible to me. It's just like, you know, Jeff, Russ, and I just get into the room and, you know, completely unprepared, just like shoot the shit for for an hour,
Yeah.
and I get to miss a weekly news meeting. So I'm like, yeah, sure, why not?
Sign me
And,
up.
You know, just hearing some of this stuff that you guys actually like had fan events and like fan art and different stuff like that. It's just like new to me, and it's kind of cool to hear about. So this is quite a education about the 404.
Yeah, this is totally the crash course, definitely. But thank you, seriously, Ben, for helping us out the last few months. It's been a pleasure having you.
It's been a pleasure of mine as well.
Excellent. Thank you for that.
I gotta say, the one person I would be remiss not to give a shout out to is Ms. Caroline McCarthy,
Absolutely.
because I'm positive if it weren't for her, we wouldn't be doing this. 'Cause
Yeah,
literally-
she's in my notes here. You can.
Okay.
Oh,
you
Jesus,
blew it.
Wilson,
You
just
blew
like
it,
always.
Wilson. You blew it. You blew it. You blew it. No, but you're right. It's definitely important to mention her separately before the end there. She basically told us you should do a podcast.
Yeah. And literally, if I remember the story correctly, we were all sitting around Randall's desk, and for 45 minutes, we were just making fun of whatever Facebook was doing at the time. And Caroline, I think, was diligently working on a story. And then
She was an actual reporter.
Yeah, she was actually doing a job. And while we were just
She was like, I'm not, she'd be like, I'm going to go on to do better things. Let me do my work right now. Shut up. But yeah, you should start a podcast.
no. So she looks over at us because she's like, yeah, you guys have good chemistry. You should just start recording this.
Yeah.
That's really how it started.
It didn't
really.
even, but give her credit. Like,
Yeah.
she definitely
Recognize
pointed us in
talent.
the right
There it
direction.
is.
We should recognize something. I don't know if it was talent. Okay, let's do a few voicemail things because we have to do that because, the listeners of the show are what, gave us material for all those years and continue to do so for the vast majority of the show. So let's just go through 4 that I've highlighted here. We're going to play it right now here.
Hey, Jeff and the 404 team. This is Paul from Melbourne, Australia. Just ringing to say hi and thanks for all the great shows. I started listening about 5 years ago after Buzz Out Loud finished up and straight away knew that 404 was more my style of tech show. So it's been great over the years with you and Justin and Wilson, all the other
Sorry, Russ.
and don't forget Gems and Ariel. They always add a
Gems.
bit of spice and flavor to every episode. So I really appreciate you keeping the show going as long as you have, obviously over so many years. And once you having a child, it makes it harder and harder to keep everyone on the same page. But I know I speak for all the listeners out there that we appreciate the shows. They've always been great. Really enjoyed all your guests like Jill and Shannon and Steve. And I think you and Russ and Ben Fox Rubin, most recently, have been a great combination. And just finally, I'd say my favorite episode is probably when it was 404 meets Judge John Hodgman. That was a great podcast crossover. 2 of my favorite podcasts coming together. So all the best to everyone for the future, and hope to hear from you all again soon. Thanks. Bye.
All right,
Really
that
nice.
was very
Nice.
touching.
Got
Thank you so
everyone.
much for that. Yeah, we wound up getting you in there after
Yeah,
all.
Yeah.
I made the cut.
Afterthought.
Made the
cut. All right, this next one's a little short and sweet. Here we go.
Hey y'all, this is California from Eli. Thanks for everything. Just wanted to leave you with this little throwback. This was the 404 and the Rappers, the show where we all sang songs. Take care.
I remember that one.
Yeah, that was Jonathan
Jonathan
Colton.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Very cool.
Is there still like so? I remember putting Jonathan Colton, handful of other like jingles like built into the board, and I have to ask, like at one point you just took my laugh and built it into the board,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
So it was when you left. When you left, you know, I remember.
I never got a single royalty check from
Nope,
that,
the
so,
check's
yeah.
in the mail. Wilson. I remember when we found out you definitely were, leaving. I remember someone made it for us. Remember Jamie Lewis?
Oh, yep.
Very big part of our program. Thank you to him. An amazing voice, an amazing talent, amazing audio engineer. He, for nothing in return, just the opportunity to be a part of the whole thing, would send us amazingly produced audio bites.
Yeah.
And I believe he put together your laugh for us and was like, "Well, Wilson's gone, but here's his laugh." And
There it is.
There it is.
There it
In the
is.
flesh
Yeah.
once again. So thanks to Jamie for sure.
Yeah.
All right, I forgot about John Hodgman that he brought that up. That was another great episode. Here's the next one.
Hey guys, it's your buddy, New Hampshire from Lorenzo. Just calling to thank you guys for years and years of entertainment. You were one of the few podcasts that I consistently listened to. It was always entertaining, made me laugh. I'm going to miss all the gang of characters that would come on the show, from Justin and Wilson. Natalie, everybody brought something amazing to the show. So thanks a lot, guys, for years of entertainment. Wish it could go on, but hey, everything good has to come to an end. So wish you the best. Bye.
Oh, thank you
Very
very much.
nice.
I like that everyone is still honoring the strange, weird, name your state before your name.
Yeah.
We've talked about it before, but I still honestly don't remember
how it
the
started.
don't. We knew how it evolved, but we don't know why it happened. And I think maybe it might have been someone accidentally doing
Yeah.
it,
Yeah,
just swapping it and be like, no, that's fine, we'll go with that. But yeah, that's
Did we
always-
get any messages from Saskatoon?
No, we
'Cause
didn't.
That was a town we didn't actually believe we actually had.
Yeah, we were
people-
obsessed with the Canadian, with Canada in general, but Saskatoon always befuddled us. So shout out to Saskatoon. Here's the last voicemail we'll play.
Hey, 4-4 guys and gals, this is Marlon, the guy from Trinidad,
Classic.
for the very last time. Damn, I'm going to miss it. I'm going to miss all the 4-4 things from the guys, Randall, Jeff, Justin, Wilson, Ariel, Jams, Bridget, Ayaz, Russ, to the 4-4 things, Tina Schwartz, Beck's audio draft, the crazy guy from the jail that time, Tang that tune. It's been a great run. It was great to be a part of the community that you guys created. It was great to see you grow, develop, and be the awesome podcast and the best podcast ever on CNET.
Oh,
It's
thanks.
an end of an era, but it was a great era. And I wish you guys and everyone all the best in all your future endeavors. But I miss you guys. And of course, if you're ever in Trinidad, any one of you just let me know. You'll be treated like royalty here. Anyhow, all the best and later.
Oh, yeah.
Man, Marlon has talk about someone who's been there since the start. I mean, that guy's episode 0.
That's so great, though.
Wow.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
that's awesome.
That's
So
super
nice.
touching. And Marlon was definitely someone who wrote in and called in very, very often, kept us level-headed and kept us back. He was sort of always that guardian, that guidance, that moral compass a little bit. So a big shout out to Marlon. Thank you so much for all that. Appreciate it. Were you gonna say something? Did I
No.
cut you off? I'm sorry. Okay.
Go for it.
All right. What do you say we got to do some emails, right?
Do it.
Okay.
Sure.
Let's talk to the people.
I see that you've printed out.
I did. Look,
very
I had
old-fashioned.
to do it. We got a ton of interaction once we announced the show was ending. So a big thank you and a big shout out to everyone who sent in a note, who tweeted, who called in a voicemail. We couldn't do 40 minutes of voicemails.
Can you redirect
today.
all those 404 Twitter followers to @JillOnMoney?
Sure. That is a one-time transfer fee of $1,000, and I'll give you the wire number after the show.
No
here.
problem.
Obviously, it's been a humbling experience having everyone reach out because we do the show, Russ. Right? We've been doing
Sure.
this for a couple of years. It's very through the motions kind of thing. And I think when we finally announced it, it took me a little bit by surprise that there were so many people speaking up and saying, hey, it's kind of like this one-way street, but like we love that you guys have been doing this thing.
Yeah.
So it definitely reminds us of why we started the show, why we continue to do the show.
Jeff,
Yeah,
I do have a question. Are you going to cry? by
I'm not
the
going
end
to
of the
cry.
show?
No, I don't cry.
I might.
You
I
could.
don't cry.
It would be okay.
It would be. I totally. Look,
You're right.
maybe I'll cry during the
Something-
thank yous. The thank yous will get a little emotional here. Of course, my father is texting me. Right on
Clean your room.
cue. Right on
What
cue.
is he saying? We want to know.
He's just like, hey, what's up, man?
Want me to write him back?
No, I'm not going to write him back. I'll see him this weekend. Okay. Here are a few emails. First, I want to shout out Will from Nottingham. I won't read his email, but he shared a very touching and emotional story with us.
Did it have anything to do with being the sheriff of Nottingham?
No, that's the. Yes, it did. You're right. Jill getting in her Robin Hood puns here. Let's not conclude this without a Robin Hood. So thank you, Will, for your touching story. That meant a lot. That was the closest I came to crying. Thanks to Prime for sending in, another old school 404 listener, for sending in an email and all those kind words. Here's an email from Nick W. I won't say his last name, but Nick works at CBS.
Really?
And he's a 404 listener and has been for quite some time. I want to send a thank you for all the time and effort you've spent making the 404 happen. The 404 is one of a small number of weekly shows that I look forward to listening to. I get bummed out if my phone hasn't automatically downloaded the show for my drive home on Fridays. We're pretty similar in age. He goes on to talk about his career. And 8 or 9 years ago, I was able to watch 404 episodes and play hours of video games each night, which I'm sure, Nick, you and I both miss very much. Now I'm lucky to listen to the weekly episodes within a week after they go out, and I haven't gamed regularly since the Xbox One came out. The show has helped me stay current on things I enjoy from a time when the responsibility of life wasn't so heavy. The show will be missed. Please send my thanks and appreciation to the other guys who have been involved all along, Justin, Wilson, and Russ. P.S. Go see the total eclipse in 2024. He's going to figure out a way for all of us to see that in New York. Thank you so much, Nick. That means so much from hearing from you. Really appreciate that. Shout out to Nick. Next, we've got Mike. Marilyn from Mike here. I hope I haven't lost you all because of the subject in this email. I wanted to write and say a couple of things. I first stumbled across your show in the summer of 2010. The daily format of your shows back then helped me with my daily commute. That's the best. All the commuters who really were a part of this. And being engulfed with your stories might have made me miss a train stop or two once or 404 times. I was a daily listener up until 2012, where life got in the way and I stopped listening. Everyone's got that kind of story where you have kids, you get married, life happens. The particular episode, if I remember vaguely, was the one where one of the listeners called up to talk about using Google Glass to watch porn on his Retina display. It didn't make any sense, but I thought it was funny, although the lady sitting next to me didn't appreciate my sudden burst of laughter. Since then, I went without my daily dose of the 404 for 4 years. Thankfully, my podcast client kept downloading the episodes, and 4 years down the road, I decided to drive around the U.S. That gave me a chance to binge listen to all of the episodes, and boy, was that a doozy. The changes of the cast through 4 years, absorbed in a 3-week period, was bittersweet. That's insane. This guy lived through 4 years and 3 weeks.
Think about all he could have accomplished.
I know, you're wasting your time.
Moby Dick, dude.
You could have listened to Moby Dick. Oh man! First off, I want to say congratulations to you and your wife on the birth of your son. That's so fun. Thank you very much. He's 2.5 almost. I would like to pass that congratulations to Ariel as well on his marriage. And I know I'm a couple years late, but better late than never. Secondly, I would like to thank you. I have tears rolling up in my eyes as I'm writing this because I feel as if this is one big family that is breaking apart.
Oh.
That's not true. We're just having a separation.
No.
Trial separation.
Don't worry,
Mommy
Daddy.
and Daddy still love each
right,
other.
Mommy and Daddy's dying, but don't worry.
Look, the dog's very sick. We have to put him down. Okay, he's been limping for years. It's upsetting
That
everybody.
reminds me of I think one of the most common messages we would get from fans were, oh my God, you made me look like an idiot. I've been sitting in this meeting or working at my cubicle or traveling to work, and I'm the guy like laughing in the corner, and everybody thinks is like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
Those are always the best. Those are the nice messages.
It just makes you feel happy.
Yeah.
What's that? Were you gonna say something?
No, you keep looking at me like I'm going to
I'm
interrupt you,
wrapped.
but this was such an emotional.
I know. Don't cry, everybody.
Such a sweet letter.
The hours of entertainment that you guys brought us over the years is just staggering. Mike, now you're really
All right,
making
let's
us
wrap this up. Remember this?
No, this is the show that we. We're going long. Because this is it.
Savor it, baby.
I'm pretty sure there's no other podcast out there where you can find tech news, sleep advice, hiking survival tips, financial advice, TV show tips, and music recommendations all in one. I truly hope you guys can sit back and appreciate what you have made for your listeners as much as we do. I hope the farewell episode is great. I think it's going okay.
So far, so
It's
good.
okay.
Much love to Jeff, Justin, Ariel. Where is he, by the way? Russ, Shannon, and Jill, Steve, the sleep doctor. We got to mention the sleep doctor, Dr. Michael Bruce, and everyone else I've had a pleasure of listening to over the years. P.S. The number of jobs our beloved audiophiliac man has never ceased to amaze me. How old is that guy? You already disclosed that earlier. I'm not going to have you go through that again. Thank you so much.
I do like the fact that he said hiking survival tips, when in fact that was the worst possible sequence of events in hiking history.
The worst advice that could ever be communicated.
When I first ran into him after that incident, I'm like, "Hey, how are you?" He's like, "Don't ask."
Yeah.
So at first I thought it was going to be something dopey. I'm like, "Oh my God, you actually almost died."
I mean, it was dopey.
It was
it was a
dopey,
series of bad choices.
But it was,
Yeah.
It was,
I
it was
think
something else.
I think it's definitely worth mentioning that is the most popular show ever in the history of 404.
Justin's almost death.
Yeah,
Sure.
where Justin just basically talked about for 45 minutes about he almost died 1,000 times. It is
rough.
It's a great show.
and like when I say the most popular, it's like by like 30,000 downloads.
Oh,
It's like
Amazing.
out of control. Because that every now and then that show will have like a new renaissance where people discover it, and it's just a fucking shit show, that episode. I remember he.
Do you get to bleep this stuff out afterwards?
It's all right. Wait, we're done. What are you gonna do? Cancel it?
You're canceled.
I just remember Justin explaining what had happened to him. It looked like he had come right in from the swamp, and I'm like, what happened? to
Like
you?
branches in his hair.
Yeah, it was
right.
crazy. He was like wearing twigs, and I'm just like, dude, you look terrible. What happened? And he started telling me like, you shut your mouth.
Right.
You go right in this pocket, and you explain to yourself what. And he told the story so well, it's unbelievable.
And then he came into work.
I know what was
I
like.
know. I know.
John, were you his boss back then when that happened? When Justin almost died?
Yes.
We have a mic.
Or on company property.
Right.
So-
Right. That happened exactly like not on company, not CBS Interactive, and no liability.
I'm scarily, like, completely uninformed about all that. Honestly, I had a.
So you didn't listen to that episode.
I didn't listen to that episode, but like this other guy, I've ratcheted up all the past 800 episodes, and I'm gonna do a cross country road trip, so I can just go.
There you go.
I have two questions for you guys.
Oh.
In that, when coming up for a name for this,
Oh god.
because
You weren't here earlier when we. No, it's fine.
This rerun just cut me off.
No, it's fine. I'm sorry.
It's
terrible.
I wasn't.
Mark
mentioning that. it was like the working title was just the Dude Cast.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then
Thank you for that painful reminder.
Yeah.
well, and then when you said you're gonna cut this out, but there was like a whole like. Was there a break before it was effective had to be PG rated?
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point.
Well, we got bought by CBS.
Yeah, but I don't.
But-
no one ever came to us and was
weird-
like, "Stop saying that word." It wasn't like that. I think what happened was it was just something we kind of decided internally. We're like, "Hey, it seems like more people are listening to this. Maybe we don't say MRF for every 5 seconds." Was
But
kind
wasn't
of the
it
thing.
the den of indecency?
No, I think indecency maybe is
wasn't that-
is the
that
wrong
was
word.
I
one
wouldn't
of
call
them.
it Dan. It would be the dance studio because Justin in particular danced on that line every
Oh, yeah.
episode.
Right.
I remember the reach around with
Yeah,
the
there was a
USB.
lot
That
of-
was
Yeah,
that caused.
You put that in a story once too, and that made.
Yeah, but now
think you
that's
had to write
like
'em up.
now that's way too safe.
I will say this is the first time I've seen Wilson since I think. You may have
God,
come
it's
back
been like
once
5
or
years
twice.
ago,
Yeah,
yeah.
but the Wilson laugh track very much missed for this show. So
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, maybe you can just repurpose that for something
I mean,
else.
the
you
sound
know?
file's somewhere.
Yeah.
If not, we'll just
Like
have
the
you go in the
screen.
studio.
Unfortunately,
I'll just
that,
re-record one.
Fortunately,
Yeah.
that thing he signed as he walked out the door, we have the rights to that.
Right.
That's
We
right.
own your laughs.
We own everything.
Every time you laugh, you owe us money.
I'm gonna be watching some CBS sitcom, and all of a sudden it'll be like my voice
Yeah,
as the laugh
right.
track.
You're gonna be
You
on.
won't see a dime of it.
That's actually what Young Sheldon is. It's just you.
Yeah, right.
It's just you. It's just you laughing for
Yeah.
22 minutes.
You don't know this, but Mr. Moonves is listening. He heard that laugh, and he's like, "That's for us."
Big fan.
He's just we have some lawsuits to file. I want to ask you real quick, John. When this first started happening, I know you were a little weary and maybe not super stoked about it.
All I would say is
I never liked you, Jeff.
nobody. I would just say this is general advice to the world, and I think it's been borne out. No one should do a daily podcast.
When they have a full-time
Obviously,
job.
period. The end. But
Full stop.
yeah, nobody should do a daily podcast if they purportedly have a real job on
Right.
the side.
Right.
That's not doing the daily podcast.
Right. Agreed. But
I mean, you and I hired Jeff, if you remember this.
That's
Yes.
correct.
Oh, wait a minute. I have a question. Hang on a second.
Whoa.
So, wait a second.
Instead of a podcast.
That's right.
I don't think that was in the interview. I don't think.
No, you guys left, and I said that out loud though. You just weren't there.
Wait a second. So, when
I just
did.
remember like you were wearing some shirt. I don't remember.
I was definitely wearing a shirt.
The Death Cab for Cutie, or maybe it was I don't know, Minor Threat. We were like, where's this guy coming from?
Yeah, do we? Well, thank you for agreeing to let me work here. I appreciate
Well,
that.
that's how long has that been?
I just had my 10-year.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Thanks. Thank
What'd you get for that?
Extra vacation
I don't know.
Oh, you know, we're going to give you CBS All Access for free.
With the commercials?
Oh Lord!
commercials. CBS All Access Light.
Skinny.
Limited. It's limited.
I have no idea who the other candidate was, but I felt like we called you back for like a second interview, which
It took a really long
make you
time,
Yeah.
and for 25-year-old Jeff didn't handle it too well. I lost about 20 pounds during the entire process. It was a great time.
much like Justin surviving his near-death experience, it had a happy ending.
It did. It all worked out.
That's all that matters.
No, but thank you for giving us that long leash early on. It really, it was cool that you were cool with that.
Well, very smart on you to go straight to the VP in charge of the whole thing and get it.
Did you go to Larkin directly? How did you do that? Did you go to Larkin directly?
John, dropping some truth.
Holy So John is correct.
Wait,
Well, look,
was that Larkin or not?
It was Larkin at the time.
Well played, sir.
Well, look, now that's definitely what happened, but I almost But to be clear though, I don't think it was a little piece of advice that you gave too, where you were like, you should probably talk to him. to see if because
Like, you better talk to him.
No, because
or
I think
else.
you were like because I'm sure as shit not taking responsibility for that.
I would say that's called covering your ass.
Right, exactly.
Now,
exactly.
John, you're like, he lets Molly do anything. You can do anything here. What the hell?
I mean, that's the other amazing thing was I said it's insane to do a daily podcast. There were two that it was sort of like the morning show and then on the East Coast the afternoon show.
Right.
Because it was like you guys and it kind of bled into Buzz Out Loud. Right.
Right.
And for a while they were like, we should just have like a 6-hour live block. Where we
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, which that's now called CBSN, by the way.
I do remember we took over BOL's podcast feed, and we got simultaneously like the best emails ever and the worst emails.
Yeah, there was nothing in the middle. It was like, what are you doing? And it was like, oh, this is
Like,
all right.
what are you
This is
doing?
great. Yeah.
This is great.
I mean, the funny thing about that is 2 months ago or something, we did a one-off podcast for Minority Report.
Yes.
And Jeff, it was just Scott, me, and Jeff. And Jeff was kind enough to let us just pop it in the 404 feed because I think it worked out that you were even like not there that week or something.
Right. It was perfect. Yeah.
And it was like, I got like the 5 very supportive tweets. I was like, this is great. I'm a star now. But I think the key is, I think one reason that was well received is like, P.S., they got Jeff, so all was well. But when you take over other people's feeds, there can definitely be some mixed
Yes,
feelings.
this is what I'm
you're
going
ruffling
for it.
some feathers.
I'm totally going for it.
Yeah.
Pop it right into Jill on Money.
Okay. Can we do that?
Why not? I don't
I
know.
mean, you're
Ask
the one
some of
left
these dudes
standing.
here.
Yeah. You're
That's
the one
it.
left standing.
Right. Better Off. Did I mention my podcast? Better Off podcast?
Don't worry. Hey, you see, that's what this whole last
Shameless
stage
plug.
was.
Holy smokes.
I know. So we got to get through this. Thanks to everyone who's hanging out with us live. If you want to hear some more emails, I told people that I would read them on air, the ones that I selected. So I feel bad if I don't. But thanks for those words, John. I appreciate that.
I mean, seriously, it's been a great run. Congratulations to you, Jeff. Wilson, welcome back. Justin, we love you wherever you are. We're glad you're still alive.
Hopefully in from the wilderness.
Russ, thanks for standing by. How long it's been that you've been on it? It's like at least a couple
not
years.
fully 2 years,
Yeah.
but probably like a year and a half, I want to say.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
And again, sorry if this is a rerun. When was your first appearance on the show? Do you
As
remember?
hosting or as a guest?
As a guest.
Yeah, we were saying it was like, what, episode 60 you said?
60 something,
Somewhere
I think.
there?
early.
Yeah.
So quite
it
a
might
run.
even be earlier, but
Quite a
it definitely
run.
was the first year that we were doing it, for sure.
Well, I'll put the mic down and probably have to sneak out in a couple minutes, but well done, guys.
Thanks,
Thanks,
John.
John. Appreciate it.
All right, this next email is from Rob, who's a flying donkey. He wants to tell us from the old chat room that we used to have. There was a live chat room
Oh,
for
remember that?
many years that always was like, are these guys going to start?
Right,
Or are we
right.
just wasting our
Just refresh.
Yeah, seriously. I wanted to send my thanks and appreciation for everything you've done with the 404 podcast. I started listening sometime in 2008, and there was just an instant connection. I'm the same age as you guys, so I think it left even more of an impression because I could relate to all of you. I felt like we were growing up and progressing through our lives and careers together. For some reason, I vividly remember the show where you talked about buying your engagement ring with a wad of cash, and the show where you did a recap of your wedding. It was almost like, hey, my friend Jeff just proposed to his girlfriend, and then my friend Jeff got married over the weekend. I can say honestly, for the longest time when it was you, Justin, and Wilson, sorry, Russ, you guys were the highlight of my work day. That means a lot, Rob. I appreciate it. I know that sounds sappy, but it's the truth. Listening and watching you guys was better than any book, TV show, movie, or game.
Wow.
Goes on to flatter us even more than we probably deserve. So thank you so much, Rob. Really appreciate it. And thank you so much to everyone in our subreddit. There's a couple thousand subscribers in there, so we appreciate everyone who's chimed in, started a thread, interacted. That really means a lot. This is from Joe. It's sad to dear Jeff and Russ, it's sad to hear you're ending the show, but I'm glad that you have been a part of my life and daily, weekly routine for the last 6 to 7 years. You guys, along with Justin, Ayaz, Ariel, Wilson, and all of your wonderful guests have been great to hear day in, day out. This show was the first show I ever called into, and subsequently I called into Aunt Jill's show once upon a time as well. I even have the urge to say Florida from Joe when calling in on other podcasts. Thanks for bringing the news and commentary on daily life to your audience for as long as you have. This show is the first show I think of when asked for podcast recommendations, and I'm sorry I got to stop doing that now.
Aww.
See you guys around. Good luck, and good luck to you, Joe. Thank you so much for writing in. All right, this is the final part.
Okay, hold on. I got to get ready to cry.
We have to say our thank yous. If there's anyone you have to thank, Russ.
No, I do want to request
I have a spot right here for you, but do you want to do it now or there?
No, it's fine. I have a request before we get into final thank yous.
Okay.
Steve, what is the weirdest shit that you brought on that piece of paper today? I feel like it's fitting. We need to see at least one weird ass thing that's on that piece of paper.
You mean today? Or you
Yeah,
mean
today. I know you have a piece of paper.
Because there were some days where like, we deliberately didn't
but
have
you know
a
what,
rundown
I
because we knew
can't-
he had a sheet.
Yeah, every time you'd be on, I want to also show the camera your ridiculous chicken scratch.
Yeah.
Hold on.
That needs to be seen by other people.
Well, they've seen it before.
What do you got in there?
Well,
A lot of lists.
A lot of lists. But
Yeah.
no, these are... No, don't look at those.
Wait, don't look at that. That's my girlfriend's phone number.
Wait a minute. Yeah, my girlfriend's phone number.
What is that?
I don't know. I'm trying to figure out.
You know
which
those
one's
notebooks in 7?
No.
Yeah,
That's what I
this is.
picture
That's
Steve's
what this
apartment
is.
looking like.
I don't know. I think this is it.
Okay.
Because actually, I wrote down
He's
episodes.
like a
We don't need to
Oscar
do all of
Madison.
them.
Yeah, but
just your cream of the crop thought there on there.
Well, the one where I was going to talk about how I could save the world.
Oh,
okay.
perfect.
All right.
Let's
Let's do
I'm
one
leaning back
last
for
Steve
this.
bit.
Because there was a thing, there was someone who was doing some kind of podcast on the Brooklyn Promenade,
Okay.
and they had a thing like a podium with a microphone, and then they'd say you can just tell the world, what's happening.
It's like Speaker's Corner in London.
Sure.
Okay.
So I got up and I said, I think I have a way to save the world, for future generations.
Okay.
And it was, and I told the story on the show that I was in this video. I showed you the video because it was on somebody's website.
Right.
And I said, what has to happen is over the next, let's say, 100 to 200 years. You asked. So
Sure. No, I want to hear. This is a
that-
great way to go out.
The human race needs to get a lot smaller.
Oh.
So that, like, where the average
By
person.
like height?
Yeah, in height.
Oh,
and-
you mean
and if-
shorter?
Shorter.
I thought you meant a
and
color.
lighter.
Yeah.
I thought you were about to
No,
advocate
no,
genocide.
no,
but-
no.
Yeah, I was like, that's
so
bad.
That, houses could be smaller, cars could be smaller, trains could be, everything could
Okay.
be a lot
Smaller
smaller than it is.
appetites.
So if a human was not, a man wasn't 6 feet tall, if he was 3 feet tall,
Sure.
he would weigh like 60 pounds,
You want us
right?
to become all hobbits.
Right, but gradually.
Gradually, of course.
I got a long way to go on this one.
That's the whole plot of downsizing.
Well, they stole it from me. They saw me on that
They stole it from me.
Okay.
There,
yeah.
I'm not sure. There's a better way to go out with one of you
Think small.
batshit crazy.
Think small. That's the branding.
Good. That's good.
branding.
Think small.
Think small.
Think small.
I love that.
T-shirts
that.
and everything.
Thanks for
You
being
asked.
weird,
Thank you,
Steve.
Steve.
We appreciate it.
It comes naturally.
Clearly. Thank you so much, Jill and
it's so much
Steve. You guys definitely staples
I really
of the
look
show.
forward to every time I was on. It was the highlight of my day or my week.
I appreciate
Absolutely.
that. That means a
And
lot.
it always exceeded my expectations.
Oh.
It was always just, I wanted to do it all the time. I
that's
always
You
when I
wanted to
was-
be the sub-in guest or
Yeah.
the sub-in
Well,
anchor?
I felt bad because I was always bugging Jeff, like, when I want to be on.
I will say
you never bug me.
I once put an episode up on Facebook, and somebody at CBS, because I said this is the most fun ever that I have, and it's really supposedly work. And somebody who is an anchor at CBS, not that one, said to me, "What do you mean? What about coming on our show?" And I'm like,
Uh-oh.
"Oh yeah, you're good too."
Yeah, you're fine too. Wow. Who was it? Can you tell us?
Can't tell you. Can't tell you
I mean,
live.
it can only be a couple people.
Yeah.
Wow. Thanks, Jill.
Yeah,
Appreciate that. All right, here come the thank yous. We got to do this. I know it's tough to do thank yous for.
Why'd you do it really fast? Like it's like the warranty or the APR financing.
Well, no, these are heartfelt. They're
Okay.
not.
Right.
I'm not trying to downplay them.
All right.
Obviously, we have to thank Randall Bennett and Wilson Tang, the original host, helping launch the show and putting the amazing amount of time and effort into this entire endeavor. Caroline McCarthy, like you said,
Absolutely.
for being that first glue. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here today, but a big thank you and shout out to Justin Yu, who stepped in very early, if you remember, at episode 100, and being an incredibly unique and hilarious voice all those years, and for getting lost in the woods. Ariel Nunez, who unfortunately couldn't be here today either, for producing the show for so many years, who ushered the show into the age of video. He was the guy that really helped us do that successfully. He had a very balanced voice on the program, and that we desperately needed at the time when it was just me and Justin, and for composing original music for the show. And obviously, he continues to be a great supporter and friend. To the CNET video team, Bridget, Sally, Richard Gems, who we didn't even get to say hi to. Mr. Gems, how are you, Richard? Big shout out to Richard. You have a gem for us now or no? Did you save one for the last one?
I didn't.
You didn't save one last gem? One last gem? That's fine. That's fine. To Richard, to Mark, Lisea, MTI, if you remember from the early days of the show. For all their support, of course, to Ayaz, who also co-hosted the show, Ben Fox Rubin, who guested many times, Scott Stein is here, who's been on the program a bunch of times, Joey Kaminsky's here, Ty Pendlebury is here. Thank you for joining us today, Ty. And for the entire edit team who gave us such a long leash early on and supported and believed in what we were doing. CNET, we have to thank as a whole for taking a chance on a thing called a podcast, giving us the freedom to have our little experiment. Stephen Page at CBS Radio, who was a big supporter of ours in the beginning, helped us get on the first time I was on the radio was with Stephen Page.
That was a weird experience. I remember that.
That was super weird.
It was the first time somebody was like, wait a minute, you're that guy that does the voice and the news? And
I mean, he had us on huge markets in the country. That was super important. And that was a big process recording that every day. And he really molded us into like being actual radio people. We got to thank Natalie Morris, who was a big part of the program early on as well. Mark Larkin, who actually gave us the official green light. He gave us the first
Jeff,
green
is
light.
he still your boss?
Jill, what?
Hi, Mark. Love you.
Jill, how are you today? Who gave us, did he not, Wilson? He gave us invaluable advice from the get-go. A big thanks to Lindsay Turntine as well for all the years of support. To Bonnie Gannon.
Bonnie.
Bonnie Gannon oversaw the show for years and years and years and years. She was our biggest fan.
She's
for
like
a
a
very
rabbi,
long
right?
time.
She was great.
She was like a rabbi.
She like really? She was like.
I don't know if that's what I'm
She was
gonna
like a
use.
rabbi to the show. Like she kind of guided you.
My favorite thing about Bonnie would be like after a show, we'd have a great time, and then I get back to my office, and then there would be a call from Bonnie, and she's like, "That was great. You can't say that."
Yeah, she'd be like, that was so funny. If you ever say that again, I'll slit your throat. No, she really was our biggest fan. And like you said, she used to call us up after the shows. She loved us and she made us feel important. Right. And that's really what was encouraging. So thank you for all that guidance and support. To Blake Stevenson, who provided tons of endless creative support, including every logo the show has ever had, he had designed. So thanks to Blake. To every single person who ever listened to the show, told their friends about us, who called in, wrote an email, participated in a contest, tweeted. Thank you very much. Who else is here? Sarah, too, always able to take celebrity photographs with us. Thank you so much, Sarah, for being there for us. To all the originals in the early days of the chat room, you were the daily glue, were they not, Wilson?
Oh, yeah.
They held it all together, and they actually did provide somewhat of a moral compass for us, where they were like, I'm not sure you guys should maybe talk about that. And thank you to Russ. Thanks for coming in here when the show was just about to go under. Thank you for helping rescue it. And thanks for being such a dependable friend. I really appreciate that. Thank you for taking the time to come in every week, even though you don't work here.
That's true. Someone's paying for me.
You paying?
It's not CBS, but someone's paying for me.
Thank you to you, and thank you to everyone who lets you be here, and the fact that you could make it work every week. And I couldn't be happier that you're the one to close it out with me. So
I appreciate
thank you for doing that. I'm gonna get if you have anything to say.
You covered everything.
Okay.
I couldn't possibly do a better job apart from thanking you as
Thank
well.
you
It's been
to-
spectacular.
Hug.
Well,
Hug.
Audio hug.
You gotta get the back pats for the audio. I want to personally thank my family, my mom, my dad, my brother John, his wife Mallory, for their endless support and feedback and words of encouragement, making me feel like I was doing a good job. To my wife Stacy for being my biggest fan.
Supposed to thank her first.
That's okay.
When you get your award.
All right, I'll edit that in
just
post.
Do that over.
I'll edit that in post.
It's a post-pro.
Thank you to her being the show's biggest fan and the never-ending love and support for the 10 years we've been doing this. And I guess that's how you say thank you for 10
Thank
years.
you to Dylan.
Of course. Thank you.
you.
I'll say thank you, Dylan, even though he's too young, but later on he'll hear it and he'll be like, oh, you did a thing one time.
Right.
If you want to stay in touch with anyone here, please do. Everyone's on Twitter. Make sure you do that. Russ has many things he's doing over at Polygon. There's a lot of content. Follow Russ. Subscribe to Jill's show on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. It's called Better Off.
Correct.
Right?
Best guess.
Best guest ever.
Russ and Jeff.
Mr. Steve Sphere Guttenberg.
Got it. Right on.
Please follow Steve on Twitter and follow your Audiophiliac blog. You have a podcast as well you're doing now?
Pixels and Bits.
Pixels and Bits, and that's on Sound and Vision.
Magazine.
Make sure you subscribe that. And you're also doing stuff on YouTube now.
Yes.
We're going to get you an actual channel that people can search. That'll be great.
Thank you.
Thank you to Wilson. Follow Wilson on Twitter as well.
Yep.
Right? What is it?
At Rhapsody Artist. It's
Oh,
the
that
same
Oh, that's
old
still, that was so
Rhapsody
weird.
I know.
And thank you once again to everyone. That'll do it for us until we meet again. Thank you so
man.
much for everyone hanging out in the studio for this live send-off. Woo! I guess that's it, guys. All right, thanks so much.
To the 40 next.
Yeah.
Oh shit, I feel
808.
so bad. I didn't call out Brian Van Gilder personally.
Sorry, fuck you too.
Oh. You record that? Did you record that?
That's
Yeah, I
perfect.
did.
I'm gonna put that in at the end.